Hello, everyone, and welcome back to ESRL. It is season 8 and round number 3, and we're here in Belgium for the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. What a track this is, and what a race we have in prospect upcoming after this 18-minute qualifying session. I'm your commentator, Ghost, as always, and we are here with a full grid for ESRL today, including most of those at or near the top of the standings. So this is going to be a barnstormer of a race, I'm sure. We do have Luca Rapassa on the grid as well, who is likely going to win by around 20 seconds or so. So we'll ignore him. He'll probably start from the back, I think is what he said. So actually, we'll see how he does. But he will probably do what Max Verstappen did at this track a few years ago. But anyway, we have a full grid. We have plenty of drivers from all different skill levels on this ESRL grid. We have a driver going out on intermediate. Again, I will make the point that I made last week. I don't understand this. I genuinely don't get it. Like, I don't know what the point is. I'd love if someone could tell me. Like, if someone's watching this back, who occasionally goes on inters for their first lap in quali, like, please tell me why you do this, because I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, you're not getting any practice because it's with the complete wrong tyre. It doesn't feel anywhere near the same. You're not... you're saving a set of tires, but like, why go out on the inters instead of just staying in the pits or using the mediums? You know, I don't understand it. So if someone could tell me, I'd appreciate that, because I have no idea what this is all about. But anyway, we're going to cut to whoever's the lead car. That is going to be the current cockpit cam champion in ESRL. That is Cialda in the Ferrari, from the country of Italia, and he comes around the final corner now to start his first lap of the session. It's a long lap here in Spa, so buckle in. Down towards turn 1, brake at the 100-meter board, go down the gears as soon as you can and hit the apex, and Cialda gets that very nicely indeed. Now on the ERS, on the exit, and all the way through Eau Rouge and Radion now. Eau Rouge first, then Radion, and now all the way down towards the Lecom corners as DRS open. We're going to see a lot of overtakes down towards this next corner, and now down the gears again into the first and the second of this sort of long form chicane, and then the right-hander is can be tricky as well to get the power down or to get as much power as you dare. There's a Sauber going off the track there to get out the way. I think that was Rick, who just about managed to get out the way in time, but that was very close to going very wrong for him. Cialda now towards Pouon. It's going to be flat out through this corner in 7th gear. Luca has been disqualified, so, well, he is starting from the back anyway, as Cialda now into the last few corners of Sector 2. Oh, hits a bit too much of the apex there, gets a little bit too much curb and slightly loses the rear. There was a small correction there from the Italian, but now into the final sector, which is flat out all the way down towards the bus stop chicane. We've got Blanchimont, and then it will be down the gears into the final chicane. At the end of a race down towards this final chicane. Another car getting out of Cialda's way there as he heads down to the final chicane, gets the car stopped, gets it through both apexes, DRS open, down to the line, and the ever-improving Italian does a 42.492 to start proceedings here. J. Cole only less than 2/10 behind. That's very impressive. We've got the McLaren. I think that McLaren was starting a lap. Palang only 2.5 off. That's also very impressive from the Canadian. We've got Rick starting a lap just behind them. Then there's the Red Bull, I believe, of Speed Alcoholic. Yeah, he is invalidated, but he was on mediums anyway, so he won't be too upset about that. Trugster, though, he'll be the next to cross the line. He was very good in the latter part of F1 23. And indeed, the early part of 24, I believe, as well. But last week didn't have such a good race. So Trugster He was very good in Silverstone, though. He was keeping up with the lead group for the vast majority of it. It's a 42.9 from Truckster. It's still not that bad. You're going to see bigger gaps around here in Spa, just because it's a very long circuit with a lot of corners. Scott goes to P5 just behind him. We've got Finley on a lap as well. That's Patty Pat going to P6. Then it's Jack Alacco, the Scottish driver in the Williams, goes to P7, just behind Patty Pat. That's very embarrassing for Jacko. What about Reshka, though? In the other Williams, he's got plenty of ERS left to spare. Is he going to burn it all on the run down towards the bus stop chicane? He's in hot lap mode at the moment, but whether he uses it all here, it's not looking like it. He's going to save it and just get rid of everything at the final corner into the bus stop chicane and to the line. He's using the rest of his overtake, but he's still got plenty left. There's more overtake he could use there for Reshka, and I'm sure he will realise that. He goes to P5 for now. There's a McLaren behind him, though, of CPI Finley, who goes to P2, actually. Not first place. Finley on the front row, but could not beat Chalder, and that is surprising, actually, at this early stage. We've got Eisenborg coming to the line. He's starting another lap. Mahmoud the same. What about speed on those medium tyres? He's gone for it again. So we'll see what he can do this time, how close he can get to the top on the mediums. This will be very encouraging for him. Never mind, he's into the pits. So just getting some practice in on an actual slick tyre, which makes a lot more sense than practicing on intermediate tyres. But anyway, that's none of my business. Eisenborg on a lap at the moment. We've got Ace versus Kings on an out lap. Where's the other Alpine? That's Scott, who's coming into the pits. Rick is also back into the pits. So I don't know who's going to be next to finish their lap. Speed's in the pits as well. I think it might even be Eisenborg, who's very far back on track, but I think he's going to be the next to set a lap. Because Finley's certainly not on one. The Aston Martin in front of him is Mahmoud. So it's actually going to be Mahmoud, but they're very close together on track. They've got to be a bit careful here that they don't collide. Mahmoud with a stellar drive last week in Japan. Was sort of driving towards the back on his own for much of the race, but came alive at the end and beat out both Williams drivers, and neither of them are slow coaches. Reshka and Jacko, both very accomplished drivers in their own right, and Mahmoud caught them and overtook them at the end, and I gave him driver of the day in the end, off stream afterwards. So we'll see what he can do here today. He's coming down towards the bus stop chicane now, and down towards the line for Mahmoud in the Aston Martin. It's a 44.1, and Eisenborg just behind him, a 10th down on the Aston, just heading down towards turn 1 there. We've got the Ferrari of Chalder on an out lap, a bit of a way down the track. And then we've got Aces, and is that Patty Pat on a lap? Well, he's on the mediums, so I'd rather pay attention to Aces, who's actually on the right tyre. He's coming down towards Pouon. He's in hot lap, but he's not flat there through Pouon. Stephen Vasso also retiring, so I guess both him and Luca wanting to start from the back, which, you know, I mean, do as you wish, guys. Do as you wish. You know, we won't get into my thoughts on that particular manoeuvre. But anyway, Aces down into the final chicane he goes. He's in hot lap mode. So he is pushing on this lap. But yeah, like I said, interestingly, not flat through Pouon. So Ace is not particularly comfortable in the car through there. Brakes at the 100-meter board. That's a little bit late for Aces. It was braking performance and spins it anyway out the final corner. So that will not be a lap time for Aces at this stage. We've also got the man in second place in the standings, Clemo, in coming through the final corner to start his first run of the session. And his teammate's not too far behind him. Lancer's into the pits. And after that, I'm not entirely sure who's on a lap. Chalder is, and I think J. Cole is as well, just behind him. So we're right on board with our current pole sitter. Chalder currently beating out Finley for pole position, and that is, for anyone who knows Finley from ESRL, APP, or PSGL, you know, that is That is very, very impressive to beat him in qualifying. I know he had a stinker in Britain, but we saw his true pace last week in ESRL. But Chalder comes through, but he invalidates on the exit there of the last corner in Sector 2. And he's going to have to come into the pits and go again. He was improving, though. J. Cole could manage to unseat him here. The Haas driver coming down to the final few corners now. He's using everything he's got left in the battery. He has run out a bit, though, down to 11%, so he will get a loss of power down towards this final chicane, which could end up costing him as he hits both apexes very nicely. He gets good traction on the exit too, and to the line. It's looking very good. It's good enough for pole for J. Cole 19, a 42.264 from the Haas driver, and Finley is just behind him, starting a lap as well. You start to hear the Imperial March in the air as he heads towards the start line there. AMS Palang not improving. He hasn't validated on this occasion, and Trugster's just behind him on a quick lap, though. So the V-Carb driver coming through Sector 2. We'll see what his time is. Clemo goes to P4, and his teammate's not going to be far behind, so let's ride on board with Zoxyrus, actually, as he comes to the final chicane. He's not got a lot of ERS left, but he's going to burn everything he's got left down towards the line here. It's a 43.6 for Zoxyrus, slots him down to P9, but he's over a second behind his teammate, which is quite a shock, actually. But we'll go back with Trugster as he heads towards the line. Uses all his ERS already before the final chicane, though. That could cost him big time on the exit. He still gains a 10th, but not enough to gain him any positions. And yeah, I do think he lost a lot out that final corner as a result. But it's the Season 6 champion who goes onto the front row out of absolutely nowhere. Johnny Stokes produces the goods, and Scott improves as well to P7. A lot of improvements coming out. Palang, I don't think he improved on that attempt. So what about the Red Bull of Speed Alcoholic? We saw him take third place in APPF1 just an hour, half an hour ago. He comes to P10 for now, though, in ESRL in Spa. He's a big fan of Bahrain speed. He tends to run well there, so it wasn't surprising he did well in APP not long ago, but even so, would have expected him to be a bit higher than that in qualifying. He wasn't a fan of Japan last week either in ESRL. He had a bit of a nightmare race. He came back. It was a good... Well, it was a nightmare qualifying. It was a good recovery in the race, but, you know, still not where we're used to seeing speed be on the ESRL grid, and looking like the same again today. Clemo not improving right now. He's going to go again. No, he's going into the pits, and then he'll go again after that. So, Clemo in the top 5 at the moment. Johnny Stokes, though, the surprise of this session so far. He hasn't really been in contention for the front row of the grid so far this season, but today he is up there, second place at the moment. And J. Cole, though, out of absolutely nowhere, is on pole position. Let's see if he can hold on to it. We've got Lancer still yet to do a lap as well in the McLaren. We know how fast he can be. But we'll see what he can do. He's in hot lap mode. He is pushing through Pouon, flat out for J. Joe Lancer, as you would expect, as he comes into the last few corners of this middle sector now. Well, I don't really have anything to compare it to, but he's lost the rear there through Sector 2, and that is lap over for Lancer again. And he's not got a lot of time left in this session, actually. We've got yellow flags out, so I can't see the time. 3 minutes 50 to go. He's only going to get one more attempt, but if he's not careful, Lancer's going to be starting right at the back of the grid here. What is Patty Pat doing? He's a 10th up in the first sector. As he comes through Sector 2 now. That looked pretty good through Lecom. And into this very tricky long right-hander hairpin here. Through No Name goes Patty Pat. Oh, but loses the rear, and he's round. Tried to hold on to it. The other way instead, and he will remain 14th for now. Does he even have enough time to get into the pits? I don't think he does, so he's going to have to go again on the same set of tyres, which isn't ideal for him either. Yeah, no, he definitely doesn't have enough time to go in the pits and go out again, so yeah, Patty Pat going to have to chance it on that same set of softs. Ace versus Kings also on a lap, though. The only driver, actually, on a lap at the moment. But he's actually just backed out of it. So no driver on a lap now on the entire 20-car grid with 2.5 minutes left of qualifying. But plenty on outlaps, and the action is going to get back underway very shortly as these outlaps come to their conclusions. Mahmoud is going to be the first to get going. He heads down towards turn 1. And he's still only in medium ERS, but switches to hot lap on the exit. And now down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. A lot of drivers coming out the pits just behind him. So he'll be happy they won't, that they're not in his way as he heads through Eau Rouge, flat out through all of that. And DRS open all the way down to Le Comte. We've got the Alpine in front who should be getting it out the way. And there he goes. And here comes Mahmoud now towards Le Comte. Getting down the gears into 5th for the first one and 4th for the second one. And 5th gear and flat out for the next one. Hot lap mode again. A little bit of a snap of the rear on the exit by the looks of things. But coming into No Name Corner, seems just about okay for now. Here's Mahmoud. He's down there in P12, but he's got to gain another half second to get himself up any position. So he's really in it to just protect his current position at the moment, unless he can produce something truly special here in comparison to his first lap time. We're about to find out. It's coming to the end of the middle sector. A lot of drivers starting their final runs, so we'll have to try and keep track with everyone. What's it? It's 8 tenths up, so Mahmoud looking like he can get into the top 10 here if he can nail this final chicane. He heads down now, top speed, flat out all the way down here. He's still got plenty of ERS left in the tank as well. So we'll see what he can do. But he uses a bit there. That could be costly. He breaks for the corner. He's still got just enough left to get him a good exit out of bus stop, though, as he does exactly that. Down towards the line, it's a 43.3. It's not quite enough to unseat speed from the top 10, but he can be relatively happy with that run. So a lot of cars beginning their final runs, including our pole sitter, J. Cole. He's fractionally down in the first sector. Johnny Stokes starting his last run. Chalder is up in the first sector, though. So we'll ride on board with these guys first. J. Cole coming through the middle sector. He's using everything he's got all the way through here. He's actually got plenty of ERS left. He's managed it very, very well. He comes through. He's just under a 10th up in the middle sector, and someone's going to have to produce something special to beat this man if he nails the final chicane here. He's heading down towards it now. He's only got 11% battery left, but we saw this on his previous run as well, and it didn't turn out too badly. So he comes down now. Down the gears, hits both apexes, very nicely done. Does he lose the rear on the exit? No, not at all. Comes to the line of 42.0 is the new time to beat. That is astonishing, but look how quickly Chalder's going. Can he take it off him? Yes, he can. The cockpit cam champion takes provisional pole, but can anyone beat him? Zoxerus is coming to the line now. What can he do? He's got no ERS left, and he loses half a second out of the last corner there. Disastrous final sector for Zoxerus. He'll be disappointed with that. We've got the Aston Martin of Palang, does not improve. Then it's the Williams of Jacalaco. Does he find an improvement? Yes, he does, to 14th place. He'll be happy with that. Lance has invalidated. He is going to remain at the back of the grid. That's a huge shock in this qualifying session. Finley goes to pole position, though. He has not had a good qualifying session up to this point, but that's the lap that counts. And Johnny Stokes improves big time as well, but it's not enough to improve his position. He does protect his 4th place, though, as Speed goes into P5. I think he would have beaten him if Johnny hadn't improved. Clemo remains in 6th for now. And, of course, Stephen Vasso, the championship leader at the back. Aces versus Kings not improving. So I think, unless Eisenborg's in the wall on the exit of the final corner. He was improving by 2 tenths, but he just gave it a bit too much there. And that is his session over. So that is going to be qualifying. It is CPI Finley on pole position for McLaren. And Eisenborg's been disqualified anyway, so he'll start from the back. But Chalder looked like he had it, but just taken off him in the end by the flying papaya car. And Chelder will still be on the front row, but it is Finley on pole. So it's CPI Finley on pole position by 2.5 tenths from Chelder, which is quite a small gap here in Spa, actually. J. Cole in third place with Johnny Stokes lining up on the front row with him. Speed Alcoholic in fifth place. He'll be relatively happy with that after a poor first lap by his standards. Clemo in sixth, then it's Palang and Scott in the fourth row, Trugster and Aces row 5, then it's Reshka, Mahmood, Zoxyrus, Jacko, Rick and Patty Pat, with Lancer not setting a lap. Big shock. He's starting from 16th on the grid. Steven Vassar and Luca opting to start from the back, and Eisenborg getting disqualified at the end of the session. And it is full wet conditions by the look of it. Maybe it's Inters, I'm not entirely sure, but we certainly have rain out there, and the drivers... Well, some drivers will be happy to see that. Some will certainly not be happy. Speed in my chat. Hello, Speed. I hope you're doing well as well. Thank you for the information. He tells me the weather is going to be changeable conditions as well. So a lot of potential for things to happen here. I'm not sure if this is going to make Luca and Steven's job easier or harder. Probably easier, because they won't have to deal with DRS trains, I would say. Even though there's no DRS, it will sort of equal out the field a little bit. So, and given how much faster both of them are than everyone else on this grid. Well, I mean, with the exception of Finley, perhaps Chaldo on his day as well. Maybe J. Cole, as we've seen from qualifying, and Johnny Stokes can be up there too. But I think Vasso and Rapassa have certainly shown in the past what they're capable of, particularly Vasso in the last couple of races, but Rapassa as well from days gone by. So we'll see what they can do from the back. They have elected to start from the back by themselves. We are going to have a formation lap. It's going to be a long formation lap. And we're going to see what tyres everyone's on. It is intermediate conditions out there, which, you know, is probably going to be better news for the drivers that don't like changeable conditions. But who knows, maybe the wets will come out later, maybe it'll go back to dry. Definitely for the moment it is Inters, and there's no dry line whatsoever, as you can see, not yet. One will develop as the race goes on, but it is damp across the whole circuit at the moment, and the driver's going to be able to carve out a little bit of a line on this formation lap, but not much of one. As we see Finley losing the rear there. I'm going to put position changes on the screen, as well as the lap data, of course. It's a quick helmet review. Zeros for default helmets. I already did this one last week. I think I did everyone's last week, actually. I think I did Trugsters as well. Yeah, Mahmood was there last week. Jacko's his Christmas helmet. I already did that one. Lancer. I don't think I've done Lancer's helmet yet. It's got black with a blue and pink strip at the front by the looks of things. Pink or purple. Actually, it's more purple. But yeah, it looks kind of classy from this angle. I wish I could see it from another angle with a bit more detail. Oh, that's a bit better. You can see it a little bit from here. Yeah, I'll give that an 8.5. That's quite nice. Good colour choices there from Lancer and Eisenborg with the white mainly white and then a black strip and some fluorescent yellow underneath. It's pretty classy as well. See if we can get it from a different angle through this corner. Oh, and a pink front of the helmet too. Yeah, that's quite nice. I wouldn't have chosen pink with the other colours. Pink's a perfectly good colour, but not with white and fluorescent green, I would say. So, you know, if he'd chosen, say, black for the visor, the top of the visor, then I'd probably give it a 9, but I think the pink drops it to 7.5, I would say, just because it clashes so spectacularly with the rest of it. But anyway, everyone heading to the grid now as we get this race underway. Vaso and Rapasa disqualifying themselves during that formation lap. I'm not quite sure how they managed to do that. But anyway, we're about to get underway here for what's going to be a thrilling Belgian Grand Prix. So here we go. It's 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're it's a good start from Finley from pole position. Chalder not alongside. There's a Red Bull trying to go to the inside further back. That's Speed Alcoholic as they all trundle into turn 1 on those intermediate tyres. Someone forced off the road. That's Johnny Stokes losing a ton of positions on the exit of turn 1 there. He was forced wide, I think, by J. Cole. And now Johnny Stokes and Speed Alcoholic, and Palan going wheel to wheel through Radion, and surely that's not going to end well. It doesn't. Speed makes slight contact but somehow survives. Clemo's going to be back at him on the exit though, and it's going to be 3 wide up ahead perhaps. Palang trying to make his way into 3rd place. What a start for the Aston Martin driver as Johnny Stokes gets his way back into the top 4 as well, but Palang goes very deep through Lecom. That could open the door for Johnny Stokes down towards this next corner here. Palang covers the inside line. Johnny, can he brake late enough? No, he can't, not in these conditions, and Palang losing the rear slightly as well. They're already 2 seconds down on the top 2 of Finley and Chalder. Vaso and Rapasa actually haven't made that much progress so far, which is surprising. Vaso up 3, Rapasa only up 1 position. Lancer on the inside of Pouon, surely not from the McLaren driver. He's up 7 positions on this first lap. What an amazing start it's been after a dismal qualifying for Lancer. He's into the top 10 already, and he's looking for more here as he's so much faster than Trugster in the middle of the corner there, but a little bit wide for the next one. But we've got to keep an eye on this man in the McLaren and also this man in the Aston Martin, AMS Palang. He's already 3 seconds down in the top 2. They are gone already. But he's made his way into the top 3 from 7th on the grid. But Johnny Stokes is going to come back at him here on the inside. Lancer's making more moves. He's up to P9 now as Palang and Johnny Stokes go to battle into the final chicane. Johnny Stokes brakes later though. There's a Red Bull braking extremely late. That Speed Alcoholic just behind them. And the Haas of J. Cole going very deep on exit 2. And Clemo trying to make his way past in the Mercedes. You're trying to get past Speed as well, perhaps. No, brakes early for the first corner. Lancer certainly doesn't, though. He nearly goes into the back of the Mercedes, but survives. He's up to 7th now already. What an incredible start this is for J-Cho Lancer. Vasso's up to 10th as well, so don't forget about him. Rapassa's still down in 17th as Lancer on the outside of Beau Rouge and Radion. Oh my goodness me. Clemo is forced deep, but Lancer already up to 6th place. This is absolutely unbelievable from J-Joe Lancer. Vasso's trying to follow him through as well. Scott is his next target. Oh, and there's contact up ahead. Scott into the back of Trugster, and Vasso says thank you very much. That'll be me up to P8. And he'll be very, very happy with that development. But Clemo, look at this. They're all battling for P4 at the moment. Johnny Stokes is way in the distance after getting past Palang, who is acting as very much a bit of a roadblock to all the drivers behind. Vasso's now in this battle too, as Lancer tries to make a move on Palang, but he can't quite do it through Pouron. He's going to go to the inside. Palang loses the rear, and Lancer makes his way through, but can Speed take advantage? He looks to the outside here, and oh, this very, very close to fatal contact between the two, but they survive. Speed retains P5 and Lancer's up to 4th place already. What an incredible first 2 laps it's been for J-Cho Lancer. I mean, that's got to be a contender for the best first couple of laps to a race you've ever seen in ESRL. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Vasso is not doing too badly either. He's up 10, looking to make it 11 down the inside of Clemo through Blanchimont, but there's contact. Oh, and Clemo's sent wide. And off the circuit where there's no grip at all, he comes back on and gets overtaken by a ton of cars, including his teammate perhaps, Palang and Vasso going wheel to wheel. I can't believe that Vasso and Clemo didn't both go into the wall there, but anyway, Vasso now down the inside of AMS Palang into turn 1. It's very, very tight between them, but Palang is very, very deep and has no exit speed whatsoever. Rapassa gets his way through as well, and, well, where did he come from? He was running down in the dregs of 13th and 14th just a couple of minutes ago, but now here he is into the top 7 and following Vasso through the grid. But Giacalacco getting the first track limits penalty further down, and Scott and Trugster both heading all the way down the grid as well. Rick and Patty Pat going wheel to wheel now. I mean, that is I mean, we like to say that drivers have history, but I think, you know, the history goes back even further between these two. A long, long way, and Rick, loses the rear as he locks up into the corner and hits the side of Patty Pat. They go through the next corner and Patty sweeps around the outside. Rick has no grip on the exit and he is down to 14th place. Rapassa and Vasso swapping places as the Ferrari driver up to P5. He's going to make it P4 at the next corner now. Nothing that Speed Alcoholic can do unless he can hold it around the outside here, but Luca does the same to him on the exit, and he is up to 4th place. And he's going to charge even higher as Finley now leads by 3 seconds, by the way, while we were all watching this these battles further back on the grid. Finley has gapped Chalder by quite some margin, and Johnny Stokes 4 seconds behind the Ferrari driver. So those three are a long way ahead of everyone else at the moment, but Rapassa and Vasso will close that very quickly, I'm sure. Vasso goes to the inside of Speed Alcoholic. Speed graciously leaves him the room there. He really did not have to. That was an audacious send from the Sauber driver, but he's got it done. Speed very kind to him there as they went through, and it's Vasso up into the top 5. With Speed now focusing on Lancer behind him, whose progress has stalled, but that is understandable as Rapassa and Vasso have now got past him. Reshka's got front wing damage, by the way. No front right end plate on that Williams, as Clemo and Palang going wheel to wheel. This is, I think, the 3rd time that Palang attempted to go wheel to wheel through Rouge and Raddy on there. He's certainly not scared of going side by side through there, but backs out just about in the end as Aces is, it is Aces on the inside of Reshka through Lecom. They're still side by side on the exit, and this time it's going to be Reshka who gets him and keeps his position even with that broken front wing. He's doing a good job out there in his Williams at the moment, is the Brit. But Clemo looking in the background as well. Remember, he qualified much higher than this. He's down 4 positions. So is Palang after his incredible first lap. But Clemo, he'll be disappointed. He'll definitely feel he got forced wide by J. Cole, who is, by the way, now down to 18th place. As, that's Aces into the back of Reshka there, just ahead of the Mercedes driver. Rapassa's now right in the back of Johnny Stokes, and that won't last long. Oh, goodness me. I thought Aces was going to squeeze Clemo out there, but they just about survive. This is so close between them. Clemo is definitely way faster than all these drivers in this pack, but he's just not able to get the overtakes done. Well, look at Luca Rapassa as well as he chases after Johnny Stokes. Well, he's already chased after him. He's now looking to overtake him. Rick and Patty Pat continue their battle as we've got more sends into the final corner. That's Clemo into the back of Aces versus Kings there. Aces on the exit, doesn't quite get the speed he wants. Luca Rapassa up to 3rd place, and he will charge all the way up to 1st within no time, I'm sure. Clemo now on the outside of Aces. Oh, goodness me, getting squeezed out there. Aces defending for his life as Palang tries to find a way through as a result. Lancer now with a time penalty, and that's going to be costly, I think, later in this race. But for now, he will have to carry on. Zoxerus on the back of Palang. We've got Clemo trying to get past this Alpine driver, this annoying Alpine driver in front of him, but he just can't do it. And Ace has got his own problems with Reshka in front of him. And Reshka, of course, infamous perhaps, for his very low wing setups. so he must be a nightmare to get past in the wet. And Aces certainly feeling that at the moment, I think, as is Clemo just behind him. Palang keeping up. There's a long train for P8 at the moment, heading all the way down to 17th it is. Perhaps even 18th, because Jay Cole is catching up and we know how fast he is. Johnny Stokes, surprisingly, not too far behind Rapassa at this stage. And Vasso has fallen well back in his Sauber, the championship leader. You know, he may be certainly on a different level to most of this grid, but he's on a different level to Rapassa the other direction. So I really don't know why Rapassa races in these leagues, because, you know, it's just, even starting from the back, it's just a given that he wins the race by 70 billion seconds. But anyway, he will do what he wants. But he is quickly approaching Chalder, and then after that he will quickly approach Finley, who's now leading by 5.5 seconds. He's doing a stellar job in his McLaren at the moment, but I don't think even he is capable of keeping the Ferrari behind. Jay Cole now joins the party. He gets past Scott for 17th on the run to turn 1. And Rashka still keeping this huge train of cars behind him. He's got front wing damage, need I remind you. They come through. Oh, Rouge and Radion, there's nothing Aces can do. There is something Clemo can do, though. He goes to the inside of Aces, and he's up to 9th place. There's his teammate as well on the inside of Palang, who breaks extremely late. Zoxerus runs him wide, and Palang comes back on the circuit. There's contact as they go through Lecom. And Palang on the exit has no pace at all, and Rick onto the grass as he tries to get past the Aston Martin driver. He goes very, very deep, and he loses the place once again, but I don't think he'll be particularly happy with that. We'll cut back to the front as the two Ferraris swap. That's Luca up another position, and Finley is going to be next. I'm just going to kind of ignore Luca Rapassa at this point. Like I did for all of Season 6 and continue to. But anyway, Clemo trying now to get past Reshka, trying to do what Aces could not do, and then I'm sure he will be able to streak clear of the Williams and try and chase after Speed and Lancer, because we know he's got pace on this circuit. We know it from qualifying, and we know it from the race so far. He's definitely looked the much quicker driver out of these cars in this train. There's another fastest lap from Rapassa, unsurprisingly, but here comes Clemo. Can he make a send to the inside? No, he can't. Of the bus stop chicane, he stays behind the Williams. Aces the next get a time penalty and very deep into bus stop. That's going to give Zoxerus a great opportunity on the exit. They're going to go side by side down towards turn 1. Clemo's not close enough to Reshka up ahead, but here comes Zoxerus on the outside, brakes late, but oh, not as late as Palang. He's gone straight into the back of the Mercedes, and that is a horrible error from the Aston Martin driver, and Rick followed him as well. So a bit of a chain reaction there of mistakes into the braking zone of turn 1, but Palang was the instigator into the back of the Mercedes, and Clemo finally gets his way past the Williams of Reshka. That's Rick on the grass again in this race in the background there. That was a great little shot of Rick going on the grass. That was quite funny, that was. But Palang now behind Zoxerus, and Zoxerus looking to get past Aces versus Kings. Again, he looks to the inside. Luca and Stephen Vasso both with track limits penalties, though, while we were looking at this midfield battle. And that's going to give Finley a little glimmer of hope, perhaps, that he could still manage to take this race win. But he is losing just under a second to Rapassa every lap at the moment. But Zoxerus, look how quick he is. That much quicker he is than Aces through Pouon. Does he have wing damage? Yes, he does. No front right end plate on that Mercedes. So that's going to be a real pain for him. Is there damage to Ace's car as well, I wonder? No, there isn't. Nothing visual. So if there is damage, it's not as bad as Zoxerus's. So the Mercedes just that much quicker as he heads to the inside. Great little move there from the German. And he is up to 10th place. He built a bit of a reputation, did Zoxerus, as one of the best overtakers on the grid last season, and proving it again there with a very nice little move on the Alpine. Up into the points now goes Zoxyrus. It's Johnny Stokes, though, on the back of Vasso. He's keeping up with the Sauber driver, to be fair to him. He's doing a very good job. Is the Season 6 People's Champion. Jackalacco and Rick, these two have a long history as well. Jacko heading into 13th place. Palang getting himself a penalty as well, just up ahead. But that is the Scotsman up to 13th, and there's nothing that Rick can do about it, I don't think. He has to sit behind, do a little wiggle to his long-time teammate and friend in APP, Palang, with another penalty for corner cutting this time up ahead, as Rick loses the rear on the exit, and this is going to allow J. Cole to get himself into the battle, perhaps. Got yellow flags, that is for Trugster spinning at the exit of turn 1. But meanwhile, Luca Rapassa now only 2 seconds behind Finley. And, well, yeah, it's a bit of a foregone conclusion, this one. I think Luca P1, Finley P2 is inevitable here, as that is Chalder going very, very deep there in a desperate attempt to try and hold off the gap to Stephen Vasso and Johnny Stokes, but it's just not happening. Back into this. He's doing a stellar job. Finley into the pits, trying to get an undercut on Luca Rapassa, who sets another fastest lap on his very worn tyres, regardless of what Finley is doing. Or is he... Oh, actually, is he in for slick tyres? Hang on. Let's have a look. Tyres, he is. Medium tyres for Finley. He's taking the plunge. It looks like it's a little early. It still looks damp out there. But Finley willing to try a risk to try and win this race. He goes out the pits very slowly, very wide as well. Nearly ended up in the wall. Well, right on board with him as he heads up Eau Rouge and Radion. This might not be pretty as he goes up here. Has to lift off so much all the way through. Gets himself a time penalty as well, and that is surely game over as Chalder now gets overtaken by Vasso for P2. As Johnny Stokes follows on, watches and waits. Clemo all the way down in 8th, the man in P2 in the championship. Not faring particularly well today, certainly not as well as he was in the last 2 races, but he did have that unfortunate start to the race, of course, where he was forced wide at turn 1. So who knows where he might end up yet. He's just behind Finley on these slick tyres. He's got to be careful here. He's got to make the move at a safe place. He uses the overtake button. He's trying to go down the inside of Pouon. This is very brave from Clemo. He backs out of that, but he's going to lose a ton of time now sitting behind this McLaren as Finley loses the rear on exit and Clemo finally gets his way through. This is too early for Finley, and he might not even be P2 as a result of this, actually. He could drop all the way off the podium if he's not careful, if this really is as early as I think it is. Johnny Stokes, though, is back in this race for 2nd place. Or perhaps it's going to be the race for 3rd place as he gets past Chalder into P3, and the Ferrari driver's been really struggling the last few laps. Just hasn't been on the pace that he's had at the start of this race. Lance are the next to go into the pits to take the plunge. Rick, Scott and Trugster also went for it on the last lap, by the way, onto the medium tyres. But I still think this is too early. Look at Finley on the exit of the hairpin. He's lost so much time with that little spin. He's just got no grip at all on these tyres. He cannot get them up to temperature. Reshka very deep into turn 1 up ahead, though, so that'll gain him a little bit of time for Finley. But still, he's 1.8 behind, showing no signs of speeding up. And both McLarens, I think, have gotten this horribly wrong. Lancer also opting for the mediums, but I think this is far too early. We'll see if Finley can gain any time on Reshka through the corners, but it's gone up another half second since we last checked. It's 2.25. Let's see what it is after Lecombe. Here comes Finley through Lecombe. Is it dry yet? It's looking like it's getting drier, but I think it's still a little bit damp out there. But I think now perhaps the medium's starting to come into play. Yeah, he's still only 2.3 behind. So, but he loses the rear there. It's so hard to drive on these tyres. Zoxyrus gets through. Lancer does exactly the same mistake, and Aces gets his way through. It is still too damp for these slick tyres, especially in these twisty parts of Sector 2. It's just not happening for the mediums. Palang's gone onto the softs because he's absolutely crazy, and Finley loses it through Pouan and just about avoids the wall. Lancer's in wide in the background. Both McLarens have made a horrible mistake here. Finley even more so, though, and he is going to be well off the podium as a result of this strategical blunder. But and that is going to open the door for Johnny Stokes perhaps and Chalder to get themselves into the battle for the podium. Vasso and Chalder both into the pits, though. And we'll see if those mediums are going to be a little better on the next lap, because they certainly weren't good on that previous lap. So whether they've gone too early as well, we'll have to wait and see. Rapassa stays out. That's not usually a good sign. If if someone like Rapassa stays out and you come in for the slicks, that's usually a sign you've got it wrong. But Vasso could lose out big time here if he has got it wrong, because Clemo is 4 seconds behind speed. He's going to be 5 seconds in front of Vasso now. Actually 6 seconds as they head up the hill. And Clemo on the back of Trugster now, who's being lapped. But DRS still not enabled. So it's really hard to say, really, what's the best thing is. Zoxyrus has gotten past Vasso. Chalder's looking like the next one. And is we've got about an even split, really, between slicks and inters, but I still think it's too early for the slicks. I really do. Lance has gotten past J. Cole in the meantime, so he's at least making a little bit of progress, but Zoxyrus now, look at how wide Chalder is. It's that corner they really struggle with. The slicks just cannot do this corner at all. Well, right on board with Finley and Lancer, who are now wise to the fact that the mediums are terrible at that corner. So they've gone through it okay, but Chalder and Vasso, that was their first experience of it. And so both of them made the same mistake, and Chalder's into the wall out of Pouan. Is that wing damage? It is not visible, actually, for Chalder, but it was a decent hit into the wall. I'd be surprised if there's no damage at all. Maybe just minor damage to that front wing, but Stephen Vasso is now right behind him, and these slick tyres are proving an absolute liability. Vasso into the gravel and gets another time penalty. A time penalty for Trugster at the back as well. It's all happening. Is Rapassa in? No, he stays out again on the inters. So does Johnny Stokes. I think it's the right call. I really do. The mediums still look awful out there, especially in some corners. Some corners they look okay, like Lecombe they look alright, but some other corners, like the very next one, they look absolutely horrendous. Zoxyrus also into the pits. Obviously the two Mercedes can't afford to double stack, so one of them's got to take the plunge, and Zoxyrus has, but is it still too early? Still Vasso with no grip on the exit of turn 1. Trugster's retired in the pit lane, unsurprisingly. Palang now with another time penalty, as so many drivers coming in. Zoxyrus to the mediums. I still think it's too early, you know. I'd still give it another lap at least, as Vasso now gets his way past Chalder for P5, not for the first time today. Well, not for P5. Anyway, Chalder, though, too late on the brakes and nearly into the back of the Sauber driver. Just about survives. Gets himself a time penalty. I think he'll probably get that removed in stewards, but I'll just take it for granted at the moment. Palang gets himself another penalty at the back, and still those mediums do not look good through that corner. Aces, though, can't really make any progress at this point, so I think the crossover is coming. We might see Rapassa coming into the pits this lap. Let's ride on board with him and find out, as he comes through in his Ferrari. Is he in? No, he stays out another one. What about Johnny Stokes? I think he's just waiting for Rapassa to come in. He's probably thinking, well, Rapassa will probably get it right, so I'll just do whatever he does. Oh no, not this time. Johnny Stokes decides enough is enough. It's time to come in. But Speed Alcoholic is going to be next to make the decision. Lancer now getting past Aces, who's into the wall there. Unfortunately for Aces, Speed Alcoholic's in as well. DRS is enabled. They've chosen the right lap, these guys, I think. It's just about the right time now. Finley getting past Chalder again, but they are wheel to wheel all the way through here. Chalder's past Vasso in the meantime. Through the bus stop chicane they go. It's still slippery, but I think it's just about that time to come onto the slicks, although Vasso all over the road on the exit there, and gets the grip still, though, somehow, to get past Chalder into turn 1. He's up to 4th place. Finley up to 3rd, but Johnny Stokes, look at this. He's come out on the slicks 9 seconds ahead of Finley. And this could be an amazing decision for Johnny Stokes to stay out for as long as he did. It could secure him 2nd place in this race, which is essentially 1st because we are ignoring Luca Rapassa. Vasso gets his way into 3rd place, though, past Finley. And Johnny Stokes, he's just got to survive. 8 seconds to the cars behind him, but they all have a 3-second penalty as well. So can Johnny Stokes survive and get 2nd place here? What a result it would be. He would easily be driver of the day for me if he did manage to secure that that position. Lancer's in this battle as well, as is Speed Alcoholic, not too far behind. Clemo's down in P8, but he's not that far down. So if they start battling, he will get his way back into this, but he's going to need a little bit of luck, I think, is the German who's 2nd in the championship at the moment. He's going to hope that Vasso loses to Finley and Chalder, the likes of them two. Luca Rapassa finally into the pit lane, and he will exit well in front, despite staying out 1 more lap than everyone else. Onto the mediums he goes. And he's exiting the pit lane now. Johnny Stokes just coming to the last chicane. So yeah, Luca Rapassa going to be leading by about the... I mean, it might as well be a billion seconds, mightn't it? But he comes out well in front, is the point. And he will easily win this race. But Johnny Stokes is the real story here. Stephen Vasso setting the fastest lap in an attempt to try and catch Johnny. But he's only gained 3 or 4 tenths on that lap. And Johnny Stokes is flying, as he has been all race. And he was very good in qualifying in the slick tyre conditions as well. So this could be a huge opportunity for Johnny. He's just got to make sure he doesn't get a penalty and make sure he doesn't bin it. And he should be able to take P2 here. It would be a glorious P2. Finley up to 3rd place in the meantime. Getting past Vasso as Chalder watches and waits just in the background, but struggling to stay with these two. Very much slower through the exit of Les Combes. And up to the next corner again is just going to fall out of DRS range perhaps here, Chalder. Just over 9/10 of a second. It's very, very close between him and Stephen Vasso, but he's just about hanging on for now. Lancer's 2 seconds down the road. Finley with another time penalty. That's good news for Johnny Stokes. Who's that wide? That's a lapped car of Palang. As Vasso makes a mistake by the looks of it. Loses a lot of time to Finley, and Chalder's now a lot closer. But it's also going to bring Lancer and Speed a little bit closer, as well as Clemo, who's 2 seconds down the road from them. Rashka 12 seconds down, battling with Zoxyrus for the last couple of points available in this race. Points for the top 10 here in ESRL. Let's have a quick look at penalties. It's 9 seconds, though, for Rashka. So as it stands, he would drop to 11th place, just behind this man, Jay Cole. I think, who will be very happy that it's back to dry conditions, because he was not happy in the wet, I don't think. Finley setting the fastest lap, but again, only gaining around 4/10 on Johnny Stokes. So he's doing a stellar job, is the V-Carb driver. Vasso's out! Vasso's out of the race. He has binned it in out of turn 1 by the looks of it. I'm not quite sure what's happened. Has he retired the car? Oh no, he's just retired the car. Maybe he left the session. But it's huge news for the championship and for Clemo. He's going to be delighted to see that. He's got a potential top 5 finish here, and he could get his way into the championship lead after this race, especially if these two battle as hard as they are doing. Speed down the inside of Lancer. What a move from the Red Bull driver. I'm just going to put penalties on the screen because everyone's on the mediums, so we might as well. Speed Alcoholic with nothing to his name. What a drive he is having as well. But Reshka getting past Zoxyrus. But again, those 9 seconds are going to prove costly to him in the end, but they're also going to prove costly to this man, Jejo Lancer, and also Finley and Chalder are not safe. Clemo and Speed have a chance of a podium here, particularly Speed if he can maintain no penalties to his name. So, oh no, that's Reshka round though at No Name Corner, and with looks like heavy wing damage to his right of his front wing. He is down to 10th place. He's got heavy damage, and that's looking like race over for the British driver. And that is going to put none other than Patty Pat into the points. Who would have thought it? I mean, if he scores points, then it really has been a chaotic race. But Lancer, just behind Speed, he's still putting the pressure on, and this is good news for Clemo. The more they battle, the closer he's going to get. Finley's nowhere near 9 seconds in front. He's actually losing time. He's losing time to Johnny Stokes now. And the V-Cub driver is absolutely flying out there. What a race he has had, Johnny Stokes. And there's still 7 laps to go. So, you know, there's still quite a significant part of the race left. Lancer up to 12 seconds of penalties now as he sweeps around the outside of Speed, but it's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things with all those penalties. He's going to drop all the way down to 7th. Zox was 15 seconds behind Clemo, so he's not in danger of losing to him. But Lancer does have front wing damage, I've just noticed, by the way. Front left end plate is missing. But Speed Alcoholic going to try and keep up with him, but this is going to bring Clemo into this, and this is absolutely a possible podium for Speed and Clemo. Both of them in with a fantastic chance. As the longer Lancer keeps Speed behind, Clemo can join the battle. He's only 1.3 behind. He's got plenty of ERS as well to attack with, and Clemo could capitalize massively on his main on the championship leader not finishing this race. If he can get himself on the podium after the starts of the race that he had, what a drive it would be. And he is nearly within a second now. He's using some of that ERS to try and get him into that 1 second range. He does exactly that, and Clemo has joined the battle for the last podium position. Finley with 9 seconds, Chalder with 6 seconds, Lancer with 12. None of them anywhere near far enough ahead for those penalties not to matter. So Clemo and Speed are battling for 3rd place here. I don't know if they know it. I've no idea. Maybe they might not know that Finley has 9 seconds of penalties. So they've got to be careful. Speed will know that Chalder has 6. So he might keep that in mind when he's battling with the Mercedes. But first comes the McLaren. DRS open, ERS activated. That's an easy move for the Red Bull driver, and Clemo is going to want to be the next to do the same thing. They go through these corners with his wing damage. There's not much he can do. What a start to this race that Lancer had. He was definitely the first primary contender for driver of the day, with all those positions that he gained in the first few laps. But it's the rest of the race hasn't quite panned out in the same way. And who's that wide? That's Chalder in the Ferrari. Very deep and nearly into the wall by the looks of it on the exit of No Name. Speed now right behind him. And this is a huge help to the Red Bull driver from South Africa, because it'll give him even more breathing room from the Mercedes of Clemo. Through they go through Sector 2. Who's that round? It's a lapped car of Scott by the looks of things in 17th. But Clemo has to clear this McLaren, you would think now, as soon as he can. There's only 4 laps to go at the end of this one. 5 laps to go at the end of this one. And Lance is still very much in this. Clemo is still very much in this, but he's got to clear this McLaren. Through the final corner, a mistake from Lancer. Is this the opportunity that Clemo needed? He uses the ERS, he pulls to the inside. It's an easy move for the Mercedes. It's good taking advantage of the opportunity. He is up to 6th place. He's right behind Speed, but Speed is going to be able to clear Chalder down towards Lecom now. And he will get himself into a net P3, but Clemo is not going to be far behind. He's going to want to be doing the same thing. DRS open. There goes Speed. Can Clemo follow him through? This is crucial for his race if he wants a chance at the podium, and he makes it happen. Clemo into 5th place. What a race it's been for this man in the Mercedes. It's been very much a 0 to hero kind of race for him. But he is now back in contention for his 3rd podium in 3 races here. What a season he's having so far. And the Enduro champion of ESRL looking to take the championship lead in Division 1 as well. Finley with 12 seconds of penalties. He is definitely out of the battle for the podium. As Johnny Stokes has, by the way, gotten himself a penalty. Not that it matters for his race. But now Clemo right behind this Red Bull. Through they go through the end of the middle sector and into the last sector. Clemo and Speed doing battle for this podium. Who is going to take it? It's going to be DRS for both of them, but Chalder could be a spoiler effect here if he can do what Clemo did to him on the previous lap and try and clear Speed as well. That's going to give Clemo a little bit of an advantage heading into the next lap, but of course there's still plenty of laps to go after this one as Clemo hits the rear end of Speed and loses the rear a little bit, but just about stays on track. That could have been a disaster for the Mercedes after it's been going so well. 4 laps to go in this Belgian Grand Prix. And the podium still very much up for grabs. Johnny Stokes is going to be P2. Luca Rapace is going to be, of course, the winner by a gajillion seconds. But it's all about this battle for 3rd place. Speed Alcoholic just ahead of Clemo. He's running out of VRS, as Clemo can see. He's gone into no deployment on the straight, but Clemo sitting back for now, just waiting for a better opportunity. He doesn't want to take it just yet. He wants to wait until a time that Speed cannot get him back. Through no name, no go. It's been a very good drive from both of these drivers. They both deserve the podium, but only one can get their way into 3rd place in this race. Chalder and Lancer are out of it thanks to their penalties. J. Cole, by the way, is up to P8 and is 5 seconds to Lancer. That is not uncatchable given the wing damage to the McLaren. Excuse me. But if he can catch that time, he will be up into the top 7 as well, which after the horrible time he had in the wet wouldn't be a bad result at all. But he's still got Zoxyrus to contend with. Mercedes still looking racy out there. But it is only for P8. And with his penalty, it's really only going to be P9 for him. Reshka still doing battle with Patty Pat in the meantime for 10th place. But those penalties to his name are going to drop him out. And this could be Patty Pat's first point of the season if he can hold on here to the back of this Williams. He's just going to make sure he doesn't bin it, and he should be in prime position to take that point. Although he has just been passed by Jack Alaco while we've been saying that. And the Williams trying to defend his teammate as much as possible. But here comes Clemo to a net 3rd place in this race. What a race it's been for Clemo, but it's not over yet. Speed right on the back of him through Lecom. But can't quite make a move, doesn't make any contact either. Jacko makes contact with his teammate though as they go through turn 1. Jacko's up to 10th place, Zoxyrus up to 8th place, past J. Cole in the meantime, who breaks extremely early, does not want to go into the back of him through there. No point, he knows that the Mercedes has a penalty anyway. But Jacko or Reshka trying to hold on with Patty Pat. But here comes the Red Bull driver. Look at the straight line speed on that Red Bull. Patty Pat into the top 10 and looking for his first point of this ESRL season. He will be going ecstatic in his Twitch stream if he does, I'm sure. But he's still got to race for another couple of laps to secure that last points paying position. But it's all about this battle for the podium. Clemo and Speed. Who is going to take it? Clemo's gapped Speed a little bit on this lap. He is flying out there on the slick tyres. It's another penalty each for both Williams, and that is surely going to be their contention for 10th place over, as Patty Pat still has nothing to his name, which, you know, like him or not, that is quite impressive for 21 laps of Spa-Francorchamps. But Speed, he's 7/10ths down on Clemo. This is a long way to catch, even with this incredible DRS straight. Down towards Les Combes. The amount of overspeed you can get around here is absolutely unbelievable, but it's not enough for Speed. He's too far behind. He's not using any ERS either. He is using the DRS, he just didn't seem to be catching at all. Lancer and Chalder still there on track, but certainly not there in terms of the penalties that they've got. Chalder looks like he's going to be P5 because he will probably get past Finley on penalties as well. But Clemo still holding off the South African. Luca Rapace is going to take us onto the final lap very shortly, and then Johnny Stokes will follow him 18 seconds later for a fantastic, memorable drive for the Season 6 champ. But Clemo and Speed, here they go again. Down towards the last couple of corners of lap 21, and we're going to head on to the final lap. It's going to be Speed with the DRS. He's stayed much closer to the Mercedes this time. He saved up a lot of battery as well. This is going to be an absolutely titanic battle for the last podium position. We've got to stay on board with these two on the final lap. There's not much else going on up ahead of them anyway, as Speed looks to the outside of bus stop, and that could be a big mistake from the South African. Look how much time he's lost on the exit as a result of that, and he could lose out any chance of getting P3 here. He's wide at turn 1 as well, just to add insult to injury. 8/10ths is the gap. It's surely too much. Clemo's got plenty of battery to spend. Speed's going to give everything on the way the run to Les Combes, but that one mistake into bus stop might have cost him a podium here. Speed alcoholic. There's battles going on further down the grid, but this is the one that really matters. Speed for P3. He's too far back. He gets up to half a second, but it's nowhere near enough. He needed to stay with the Mercedes, and he hasn't been able to do it. Through Les Combes they go, and Clemo is still ahead of the Red Bull. Lancer is keeping Chalder honest as well, but the 15 seconds in penalties will drop him behind anyway. J. Cole is going to be able to take P8 in this race, I think. He's way too far back. He hasn't been able to catch the McLaren, unfortunately for him. But Speed Alcoholic, I'm aware that Jacko and Patty Pat are side by side, but I've got to keep an eye on these two because this is for the last podium position. And Patty Pat will win on penalties anyway, so here goes. Luca Rapace wins the Belgian Grand Prix, but it's all about these two drivers for third place. Who is going to take it? Speed Alcoholic's going to give absolutely everything on the run to bus stop. We're going to see if he can gain any time at all. Clemo's using everything as well, but he's got more in the tank than the Red Bull. Speed is just not close enough. He's not even close enough to go for a dive bomb. He tries it just briefly, but he realises he's too far back. Through the bus stop chicane, Clemo gets the exit he needed, and he takes P3. What a drive from the Mercedes. After getting forced off at turn 1 and dropping all the way into 10th or so, he has come all the way back to finish a roaring third place for his third podium of the season, maintaining his 100% record. What a drive from the German. And Speed Alcoholic is going to be disappointed with fourth place in the end, but it's still a titanic drive from both to not get any track limits penalties. It's paid dividends. Johnny Stokes, though, what a drive from him. Second place, and I mean, really, that is first. So what an incredible drive from him. It is driver of the day for sure from me for that man right there in the V-Carb. What a race, though. What a great finish between Clemo and Speed for the podium. Wow. So I'll run you through the results of a certainly eventful Belgian Grand Prix with changeable conditions and overtakes galore. It's Luca Rapassa, of course, who wins with a lap that is, it's only 1.2 seconds faster than the next driver, and we all know he was coasting in that last stint as well. So, I'm not going to say any more. Johnny Stokes in second place. Clemo gets himself a wonderful podium as well. Both these drivers with absolutely fantastic performances today. Speed Alcoholic takes fourth place. CPI Finley down in fifth after all of those penalties from pole position. Chalder in P6, Lancer in 7th. J. Cole down in P8 after a great qualifying, but he just wasn't cut out for the wet conditions. Zoxyrus and Patty Pat gets his first point of the season in 10th place, and then it's Mahmood, Jackalacco, Aces, Reshka, Eisenborg, Scott, Rick, and Palang at the last of the finishers, with Trugster and, sensationally, Stephen Vasso, the championship leader, unable to finish the race today. So there we have it. I'm just going to do a quick check of the championship standings and give you a quick update on who will be leading. Clemo was 15 points behind, and he's going to get 15 points for P3. So Clemo is going to be joint first in the standings with Stephen Vasso heading into round number 4. So a nail-biting prospect between those two so far. But Finley not too far behind. Neither is Chalder. And Johnny Stokes will be getting himself closer to the battle as well. He'll be getting 18 points. He'll be up to 32. So he'll only be 11 points behind. It's looking like it could be a very interesting championship. Unless Luca Rapassa decides to race for the rest of it, of course. In that case, it will be a very uninteresting championship. But anyway, I don't know about the constructors. I will let you know what the standings are there next week. But Sauber led by 1 point going into this. I don't think they'll be leading anymore after that one. But anyway, what a race it's been. Thank you all ever so much for watching. We will be back next week for round number 4, which will take place in China, and it will be a full qualifying session as well. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be a bit of a long one, a little bit of a longer stream with full qualifying. But anyway, thank you all ever so much for watching. I've been Ghost. This has been ESRL, and we'll be back next week for more great racing. See you then.